Dobry wieczór. Witajcie na cotygodniowym podsumowaniu Polski i Irlandzki wiadomości ze mną, Williamem Murphy. Nowości Polski ubiegłym tygodniu obejmowały. Warm tributes are paid following the death of former Prime Minister Jan Olszewski, and Warszawa hosts a major international conference on the Middle East. News developments in Ireland have included a Dáil apology by Health Minister Simon Harris for not being more forthcoming in answering a question last September on the escalating costs of the new National Children's Hospital, and a Labour Court recommendation averts the planned 3-day national nurses' strike. Zacznając od Polski wiadomości. Late last Thursday, the death occurred in the Warsaw hospital of former Prime Minister and Communist-era defence lawyer for many opposition activists, Jan Olszewski. He was aged 88 and was Prime Minister for a tumultuous 6 months, from December 1991 to June 1992. A period in office marked by clashes with President Lech Walesa and controversy over the naming of alleged collaborators from the then only very recently removed communist government. Olszewski, a lawyer, was a leading figure in the Solidarity movement in the 1980s, and a conservative politician, served as a political advisor to Lech Kaczynski during his presidency. In 2009, he was awarded the Order of the White Eagle, Poland's highest state honour. President Duda described Olszewski as a statesman who served Poland until the end. Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki said that Jan Olszewski was a person who was impeccably honest and faithful to his views, and at the same time extremely courageous. 2 days of national mourning have been declared, with flags on public buildings draped in black and lowered to half-mast. The funeral ceremony, which will be attended by President Duda, takes place on Saturday. Just 2 months after the United Nations Climate Change Conference in Katowice brought the international spotlight on Poland and led to additional security measures at Poland's borders, this week has seen a major international conference in the Middle East, officially the Ministerial to Promote a Future of Peace and Security in the Middle East, take place in Warszawa yesterday and today. On Sunday, Poland temporarily reinstated border checks at its frontiers with fellow EU members as part of security precautions for the conference. The conference, seen by many as directed at countering Iranian influence in the region, is being jointly hosted by Poland and the United States, with the attendees including Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. US Vice President Mike Pence and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo were both in Poland for the conference and met Polish leaders. After meeting with Pompeo, Polish Foreign Minister Jacek Czaputowicz told a joint press conference on Tuesday that US and Polish foreign policy goals are convergent, above all when it comes to security. The Polish government on Wednesday signed the formal agreement for the purchase of 20 HIMARS ground-to-ground artillery rocket systems from the United States at a cost of $414 million as part of plans to modernise the Polish military. The signing ceremony took place in the presence of President Duda and visiting US Vice President Pence. It follows a recent pattern of close defence cooperation with the United States, with the purchase of Black Hawk helicopters to be locally assembled in Poland announced last month, and with the government continuing diplomatic and political efforts to secure a permanent US military presence in Poland. On Monday, the Austrian businessman Gerald Bergfiner, who has made allegations against Prawo i Sprawiedliwość party leader Jarosław Kaczynski, met with investigators. He alleges that he wasn't paid for work on a planned office block development to build 2 towers in central Warszawa, worth over 1 billion Polish zloty, being promoted by organisations linked to Kaczynski and Prawo i Sprawiedliwość. The plan was for 2 190-metre towers, including houses, apartments, offices and a hotel, as well as the headquarters of the Lech Kaczynski Foundation. Recordings of a conversation allegedly dating from July 2018 between Bergfiner and Kaczynski have been published in the Gazeta Wyborcza newspaper, but according to Prawo i Sprawiedliwość, do not show any wrongdoing on the part of their party chairman. Construction work on the Srebrne Towers had been suspended in June 2018. In the recordings, Kaczynski allegedly stated the project had been hindered by local political considerations. The Polish consul in Oslo was this week ordered out of Norway, with a week to leave the country. Sławomir Kowalski has been declared persona non grata. It follows a long battle with Norway's Barnevernet Child Protection Service over the rights of Polish parents of children living in Norway. The Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs had expressed satisfaction with the consul's work, and the Norwegian consul in Warsaw has been ordered out of Poland in retaliation. Jeśli chodzi o irlandzkie wiadomości. In what will have come as at least a temporary relief to the government, the 3-day national nurses' strike planned for Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday was averted at the last minute, with a Labour Court settlement recommendation issued on Monday. It was enough for the Irish Nurses and Midwives organisation to call off their planned action in advance of a ballot of members. While the terms of the Labour Court recommendation are complex, they provide for pay increases for nurses through the creation of a new grade and upskilling. The government had initially maintained a hard line on the nurses' pay claim, and the settlement may well have been influenced by a desire to ameliorate one source of the intense political pressure on Health Minister Simon Harris. The price, apart from the estimated additional annual cost of €10 to €15 million this year and €30 to €35 million next year, even assuming compensating productivity measures actually materialise in real cost savings, is likely to be in the form of claims from other public sector unions seeking benefit for their members from the precedent established for the nurses. We are unlikely to have seen the end of industrial unrest in the public sector for this year. Health Minister Simon Harris apologised in the Dáil on Tuesday for not giving a fuller answer, which provided an indication that costs were potentially escalating for the National Children's Hospital construction project, in response to a question from Fianna Fáil's public expenditure spokesman Barry Cowan. The apology was the political price the government was willing to pay in the hope that the controversy abates. Sinn Féin has tabled a motion of no confidence in Minister Harris, which will be debated next week. Without Fianna Fáil supporting it, or at least abstaining, which they can't do without risking a general election, that motion will go nowhere. However, we still await the outcome of the PwC review of the handling of the overrun due by the end of March, and the Minister has already sustained significant political damage from this affair. The focus of the government now looks to be on improving the contracting processes for major capital expenditure projects, with Taoiseach Leo Varadkar citing the practice of contractors lowballing tender prices with subsequent cost overruns. It'll be interesting to see what, if any, the impact is on party political support, given the Stour Fine Gael has set on maintaining a reputation for competent economic management and getting value for money for the taxpayer as their unique political selling points. They may be nervous of fallout in the May local and European Parliament elections. The government also this week announced the broad areas impacted by the need to find capital expenditure savings of €100 million this year to cover part of the cost overrun at the National Children's Hospital. While arguments about so-called reprofiling are all well and good, and some capital projects are always delayed for a variety of reasons, it remains the case that over the next number of years an additional €450 million at the very least will have to be found in the capital budget, which has to have a real opportunity cost elsewhere. Last Saturday, a special conference in Newry of Northern Ireland's Social Democratic and Labour Party, SDLP, approved the so-called partnership agreement with Fianna Fáil, as recommended by party leader Colm Eastwood. While the margin in favour was more than 2 to 1, the decision has prompted the resignation of a number of party office holders, including that of South Belfast MLA Claire Hanna as the party's Brexit spokesperson. The cooperation agreement is far less than the outright merger promoted by some Fianna Fáil politicians, but is nonetheless controversial for the SDLP, as it has traditionally enjoyed warm relations with all the major southern political parties, excluding Sinn Féin. For listeners unfamiliar with the history of the SDLP, it was from the 1970s to the 1990s the major representative of the non-violent Northern nationalist tradition. Its leader from 1979 to 2001, John Hume, was instrumental in bringing Sinn Féin in from the political cold and in nurturing the peace process. However, the resultant changes in the constellation of political forces saw Sinn Féin overtake the SDLP as the dominant party of Northern nationalism. Tá Seasco na Chin Chidin. Zapraszam na kolejny podsumowanie z tydzień o tej samej porze. Dobranoc.